Josh Crawford, SI Fan Nation here with the general manager of Orange United, Mr. Mark Hayes. You doing okay today, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on and spending some time with me. So, obviously NIL has kind of been a perpetually hot topic around Syracuse and in the college sports space in general. How did Orange United come to fruition?
So Jason Belzer, the CEO of NIL, and John Wildhack, the AD at Syracuse, got together, determined the needs that Syracuse had, and they saw that NIL and Orange United would be the best fit based on the model that we had created.
You talk about those needs in the NIL space. What particular needs does Syracuse have in the NIL space? And do you believe that that Syracuse has lagged behind in the NIL space?
Well, Syracuse did a wait and see approach, the whole NIL process, based off of how new it was, how volatile it was, and really kind of wanted to get the landscape down before they really committed to moving forward with it. So are we behind? Yes, but there's a period where we can catch up really quickly. And I think with the plans that we put in place, it's going to allow us to get there quicker and be able to compete and be competitive the way we need to be.
NIL organizations obviously are, newer organizations coming to fruition. Researching you, knowing the extensive experience you had with the Syracuse Crunch, what qualifies somebody to lead NIL experience, NIL collective, and what type of previous experience have you had that makes you somebody that takes this organization over the top?
Well, I'm also alumni of Syracuse University too. So having a knowledge of athletics, having been involved with it while I was in school, and then just having a knowledge of the community is going to allow me to have the ability to connect with business leaders, alumni, just the people that we need to touch base with and get involved to make this thing successful. So I think just having good communication skills, having a knowledge of the community and the fan base is going to allow us to get where we need to be much quicker.
So with you, you being the head of the NIL collective, Orange United, what does your organization get out of, doing these deals with players?
Yeah, I can answer that question in this regard. So with NIL and Orange United, we're going to being able to work with the athletes to educate them and to empower them to create personal brands that they can take with them once they're done playing or on to the next level is going to be the biggest thing that we want to provide to the student athletes. The other thing with NIL, it's going to allow some of these student athletes to stay in school, to be able to earn their degree, become ambassadors for the university, and develop, so they don't have that that pressure to turn pro or leave school early. This will allow them the security and the safety to be able to build this brand that well, hopefully they'll take on to future endeavors.
Kind of perfectly leads into my next one. What kind of obligation does Orange United have to the guys, the athletes that you do deals with once they're not officially associated with SU?
Well, we hope that we'll continue those relationships and be able to steward them into mentorship roles with the current student athletes. Right now, we're in the middle of a match campaign to help support and empower the student athletes. So maintaining those connections and showing the value that we can bring and the enrichment that we can bring to these student athletes' lives will just show that we did our job, and through the alumni support will help us be able to maintain and be sustainable through years to come.
So, obviously, speaking about the deals the partnerships that you form with athletes, everybody like guys like Garrett Schrader, Judah Minster are going to be the top of the line guys, and even men's basketball and football in general are going to be your for-profit sports. But what type of plans does Orange United have for the non-profit sports for SU Athletics?
Well, I want to make it a big focus to highlight all of our student athletes. We have a lot of Cuse fans across the nation and all over the world that, yes, football and basketball are the bread and butter, but we have former student athletes that were track stars. You can support the track team. You can support cross country. We have a men's soccer team that won the national championship. We should be featuring those. We should be showcasing them in the community as well. So my main thing is, especially even with women's sports, to empower them, to get them involved with the athletes in our community and abroad, and show that this is for everybody. It's not just football and basketball. Although they do command a lot of the attention in the NIL space, it's for everybody.
Mm. So we talked a little bit earlier about, you some of the administration at SU identifying some of the needs in the NIL space. If you can, could you speak about some of those needs and goals that y'all have kind of formulated in terms of where y'all want the NIL space for SU to look like the next year, next couple of years?
Yeah, so we have internally with Syracuse Athletics and coaches have identified goals of where we think we need to be as an NIL collective and a partner to the university. So with that being said, between our three-prong model, which is donations, which we know is the most unsustainable. It's hard to ask alumni to give every year, especially in the current economic climate, but we also have brand deals that you can work on. So pairing athletes to companies to do their advertising or leverage them for internships or any other opportunity. But the last one is through the membership model, which is for everybody. So whether you want to give $10.99 a month or $25.99 and up, this will allow you as even the casual fan to support your favorite team or athlete in a less intrusive way and more sustainably for the athletic program.
Like I said, doing some of the research, I did see there was a wide variety in terms of the different membership levels that y'all have. So that's something that even, looking at different Power 5 programs or more well-established NIL programs, that is something that I think y'all are doing a really good job of.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day too, fans want to see a return on their investment, and providing access, exclusive content, raffles, ability to get passes to meet and greets with your favorite student athletes. It's going to allow them for a stronger connection, and also it's going to be a partnership and a membership that you're not going to want to cancel.
Okay. For me, we talked a little bit about some of the challenges in the NIL space with it being so new. What challenges and benefits does NIL being such a new concept provide for y'all? And then also, upstate New York is not a super populous or known area outside of the region. So what type of challenges and benefits does being in this particular location? What kind of challenges and benefits are there for your organization?
So I think the main challenge is the education. I think NIL has gotten a lot of bad press based off of certain schools and the abilities and just the way kind of student athletes have been kind of featured. The Caleb Williamses of the world. I mean, that's when people think of NIL, they think of people like that, but it's, I don't know how to phrase this. It's not across the board for all these student athletes to be earning that
compensated at that level.
They're earning potential. So fans, this is a new wrinkle in the whole landscape of college athletics, and a lot of people think that it should be amateur, but these students, just like any other student, should be able to build a brand and leverage their likeness to be able to feed themselves, buy their books. I mean, yes, they have scholarships, but those only go a long way. A lot of student athletes can't even afford to eat most days. So not saying that's happening here at Syracuse, but we want to make sure that all of the student athletes are well taken care of and can develop. Syracuse in general has a strong alumni base. Between Newhouse, Maxwell, even the Falk School for Sport Management. Syracuse University is not just upstate New York, it is New York's team, and it has proven that. And I would even go to further to say all of the Northeast. So just the reach that Syracuse has all over the country and all over the world is going to give us the ability to be successful and right off the bat be able to pinpoint and leverage those alumni and ambassadors that we have to make this what we want it to be in a positive light.
hey, as a former student athlete myself at FCS level, I can wholeheartedly agree with that testament, especially even like I just graduated from my undergrad 2 years ago and seeing the change in the space and the resources that guys like you are providing for athletes, altruistically without it being a self-serving kind of entity. Like I appreciate that, and I do think we could use a bit of reframing for it. And honestly, like just speaking transparently, I am impressed with kind of the transparency that you're sharing with me, but also the plans that you kind of have outside of just the guys like those pure partnerships. And I want to talk a little bit about that. We touched on it a little bit, but what kind of like plans, like set it plans and goals do you have for the partnerships outside of the athletic, the non-athletic skill development type of situations?
So there's a lot of plans in place. I think there's a lot of things that need to get done before we can really dive really deep in them. As I mentioned earlier, this match campaign, we are contracting various student athletes to help us bring money into the collective where we can get them into the community. So we've had women's basketball signing on the quad before football games. We actually have men's and women's lacrosse signing autographs prior to the Boston College game on November 3rd. We want to leverage partners to be able to, as I said before, provide opportunities for our student athletes to grow, whether it be through an internship or a job opportunity, or for them to build a catalog that they can use, showing that they worked with X brand to do a billboard or a speaking engagement, or did a meet and greet where fans can interact with these brands, but also the popularity of athletes in general has been proven, and the data shows that the activations and the participations grow just from being associated with an athlete. And with the popularity of Syracuse University in this area, it can only help to showcase local businesses that might not have been able to been featured or show the offerings that they have to the local community as well.
This is a couple more from me, probably a step back in terms of some more macro ones. From somebody with your very unique perspective, how has NIL impacted the way that college sports operates? And do you think it's a sustainable model?
So I think it's only sustainable if you have the right model when partnering with an NIL collective. So as I mentioned with us before, it's not just banking on the donations and the support of the alumni. It's really the three-prong model with also the brand activations and the memberships are going to allow that sustainability, because there's going to be fatigue. I mean, you've seen with other schools, especially SEC schools, with the popularity of how football is. I mean, Syracuse is a basketball school. It is turned into a basketball school, and we have a great, rich history for football. We just need to get it back to where it needs to be, in my mind, anyway. I mean, I grew up here watching Rob Conrad and Don McNabb. We were always going 10-3. We're at big bowls, and right now, because the landscape has changed and how competitive it is across the board, there needs to be some additional support for some of these teams, like football.
And last one for me, in terms of like we spoke about before, there's a lot of mystery, lack of clarity from people in the community in the SU athletic space about NIL, about different partnerships that have fallen through. So is there anything that you want to say to the community to get across in terms of providing some clarity about what you and your organization is doing in the NIL space?
Well, right now it's the education process, and it's really across the board. I've made myself available to everybody in the athletics office, providing them with information, regardless of who they are. I think everybody, this is going to be a process where everyone has to be pushing the right direction for us to all meet our goals and help enrich the lives of the student athletes as well. Whether it's communications, development, even speaking with the SIDs, just making sure that everybody knows what we're doing, communicating with them where we're going to be, how it's being done, and then even talking to fans on the quad. So we have a a booth at the Toyota Fan Zone. And I answer questions candidly and openly as deeply as I can. And I'll never try and change anyone's mind. But at the end of the day, this is the new landscape. And I know there's some passionate fans that to feel differently about it, but I'll answer any questions and help educate the local community the best I can to show them the value in this and something that we need to be doing.
Man, Mr. Mark, again, thank you. That was a super transparent thing for me. Honestly, I can speak to say that I'm impressed with the way that you handled yourself and like I said, the candidness that you spoke with me about a situation that or just a topic that a lot of people have questions about. So I feel more informed going forward. I know that the readers' audience will feel more informed going forward. So again, I appreciate your time.